on navigating that RAZ Plus student and teacher portals. We're going to, oops, sorry. We're going to customize the student rosters and settings, and then locate resources that are great for our pre-K all the way to third grade students, and even higher level if you have students at a higher level. So those of you who've used the program before, you know we have leveled books and materials at 29 levels, double A all the way to Z2. And you will have lesson plans with everything, guided lesson plans, leveled book lesson, teacher tips. There's always going to be some support for you when a book is involved or a piece of text. And you have discussion cards that come with all of the leveled books, comprehension quizzes. You can decide if you want to turn those on or off. And then there are downloadable and printable worksheets and activities. These are PDFs, so you can upload them into your Seesaw, but students would have to have a way to work on them, or you can upload things that they don't actually have to do any work on. So, and then we're going to look at multi-level resources. I'm not sure if you are clever rostered or it sounds like you're doing your own roster. And so students will go into kidsa2z.com. When they go in the first time, it's going to look like this. And then they're going to put your teacher name. You have a teacher name that when you log in, you'll see that in the upper right corner of your login area. And then they're going to choose themselves off of that roster and put in whatever password you've given them. We will go in as a student so you can see what that looks like as well. So for those of you that are new, most likely your students are seeing this primary view, but if you do have third grade students, they may be looking at this view, which is just a little more sophisticated. This is our intermediate, considered third grade and up. So here they have a drop down menu and a little dashboard. It's just a little more, they can change their background, which they can't do on the primary site. It doesn't matter which portal students are coming into, they all will have the same resources, same areas that they can go to. So they are originally going to go in that reading planet. They're going to see one of those portals. And then within the portal, they're all going to have that personal reading room, which is like it's like a trip to the library, really, but it's a digital library, and you can customize what students can see in that library. So this is where they can go. They will still have all of the recording features. So they can come in here, find a book that they love, record themselves reading, and that can come into your reports. And you can share that with other teachers or even parents. So all of these areas, anytime a student is on a book or text, they will be able to record themselves reading it, and they'll have some other annotation tools that I'll show you. So this reading room, and you can turn this on or off. So if you have little kids and they're not ready, you really only want them to have what you are giving them, you are able to turn this area off, and whether they are intermediate or primary. Here in my assignment area, this is where you are giving assignments. Maybe it's your guided group, maybe it's homework, research, certain skill groups, whatever you're working on. And then next to that is the level up area. This is the computer generated area where all you as the teacher do is give a beginning level. So a level that the student is independent or instructional at, you decide. And once you give that student a level, this area will be computer populated with books only at that level for the student. And then the student will listen, they'll read, and they'll take quizzes, except at double A level, there's no quizzes, but they'll listen and read. And then once they complete all of the tasks in that area, the computer will automatically advance them to the next level. So this is the computer generated independent or instructional reading area. Kids are just working through activities. Finally, that flight check area, if you give students an assessment, they're going to see flight check. Once they have finished, that's going to disappear. All right, and then we'll talk about this dashboard as well when we get into the program. So here's the intermediate, same areas, level up, reading room, assignment, and then that assessment button that will go away once they've taken an assessment. Here are those annotation tools. We're going to take a look at those when we go in the program, recording, pens and highlighters and stampers. So you're going to see that on the student side. And then on the teacher side, you have projectable tools. You are going to love these tools, especially since you are teaching virtually, because whatever you annotate in here is automatically saved unless you reset the book or the page. So we're going to talk about that. I'm excited to show you that. So I'm going to go live onto my RAZ. And here up in the upper corner, you can see there's my login name. And I'm on this pink ribbon here. So I've got several different areas. We're going to spend some time in the resource file. Think of this as a giant file cabinet with drawers and drawers of resources for you. You can also find books and resources by searching. You can search by topic or by skill. If you're doing, main idea or you're doing sequencing, you can search here and then filter what the search pops up in. Here you have a file cabinet that you can store things in. You can assign multiple books through the file cabinet to students, and you can share the files with other teachers. So if you're working with a grade level team and you're creating units for the remainder of the year, you can each create a unit, share the folder with your other teammates, and now you've got more work than you actually had to do yourself. So it's kind of a nice feature to save time. In our managed student area, this is where you're going to see all things students. So rosters, reports, any assignments you've given, and then the in basket is where you're going to do some scoring. So you will see when students do any benchmark activities, benchmark assessments, which are the running records. If they do a practice recording, you'll be able to see that here. And any constructed response questions with quizzes, you will be able to see. Then finally, in the last area, those of you who've been using the program for a while, you know this area as the teacher corner, but now it has become the instructional support area. And that is at the bottom of each page. Looks the same once you get in there, but you have a variety of areas of support that you can utilize. So a couple of the things that I just want to highlight here, you can sign up for webinars. The video library is 1 to 5 minute videos on particular resources on the site. Here under all about leveling, we have our level correlation chart and more about assessing a student level and running records. And then here under instructional tools, I highly recommend these pre-K tip sheets. I'm just going to pop in there for the pre-K teachers. You can download a tip sheet and you can also go right to that particular resource that you may be wanting to view more of. So that's a really helpful way to get started. Those of you that are new, if you are working with pre-K or pre-K level students. So that was right here under instructional tools, the pre-K tip sheets. I'm going to go here back to all about leveling and pop into that level correlation chart, because all of our resources are correlated to a variety of leveling systems. I believe you use Fontes and Pinnell. So here's that correlation to Fontes and Pinnell, but I can click and add anything that I want, or I can deselect if I'm not using something. So you can see, you can change that chart to be whatever is most useful to you. If you want to print it out, you can. And here I can see that correlation. It really, Fontes and Pinnell and learning A to Z, it is a one-to-one correlation until you get to the beginning of second grade. And then it starts to shift a little. So here you have a level K is a level L in learning A to Z's resources. So just so that you're aware that that chart is there and lots of support in that area along that pink ribbon here in the instructional support area. You can also just scroll to the bottom of any page and it's there. So I'm going to go into my manage student area into the roster. And if you have questions about something at any time, please feel free to either put it in the chat or go ahead and ask. And if there's something that you want to see again, let me know, or if I'm going too fast, let me know. So here I am in my manage student area, everything turned blue. And I want to point out first that I have this need help button. This is going to really support you in anything you may need to do, frequent tasks that come up. If you forget how to group students or you need to know step-by-step walkthrough on how to add students, it's all here in the need help button. These are step-by-step instructions. You also have your student and parent documents. So I can print out all of my student login cards and what is their password, so that I can go in as one of my students if I need to. I like to print that out and just kind of keep it handy. I can also send parent letters to my parents giving them their child's login information. So, and I can do that in multiple languages. If you want reports being sent to you, you can go here in the settings, and here you can choose to have weekly or monthly reports sent to you. So that's another feature. And if you have older students and you don't want them in their level up to have to listen to stories, you can always change that level where they have to listen and where they don't need to listen anymore. So that would be maybe for our older students, but you may have students that need that.
And we had a question about Rigby. So if you use Rigby for running records, would that be closer to the PM reader level?
It may be. I'm not that up to date on Rigby. And so what that is, I guess you would have to kind of look at that and see if you gave a benchmark assessment in RAZ Plus and they came out in a level that was, you could kind of cross check it. But I don't know off the top of my head if those two are close to each other or not. Great question though. So here, when I pop into the manage student area, it's going to pop me onto this general tab. And then I also have a RAZ Plus tab. So you probably wouldn't see this is a demo account. So I have all of the products, but I'm going to pop into the RAZ Plus tab first. And so here I can see my roster and my students. Here is their level that has been given. And if I need to change that level, I can do that at any time. And when I hover over one of the letters, I get that mini correlation chart. You'll see that in the level book area as well. So I can change these anytime I need to, even though I've set them initially, maybe something is a little different. So where that's being set is when you added your students. If students have been using the program for a couple of years, everything should have migrated with them. But if you are adding new students, you're going to come here under the ribbon to add students. You're going to put in a student name, and then you can do their first name and last name. And mine will pop in. This is the name they're going to see on the chart. This is more for your information. And then right here, you're going to click that open and you're going to give them a level from what you have from your benchmarking that you've already done. So you're going to just assign a level And then you're going to give a password. So you can give a text password or 1 to 2 icons. It's up to you. With our littlest kids, icons are the best. As kids get older, second grade and up, maybe sometimes a written password works best. My students, it was their ID number. So it was really hard for, I had fourth and fifth grade students for a while, and it was harder for them to kind of get into someone else's account because once they popped in, they didn't know their password. So you can set a password, and then instead of saving right away, if you're adding multiple students, go ahead and add another student right away and another student. And I usually do about 5 at a time. And then I'll save, and then I'll come back and do 5 more because I don't want to lose any information if something goes wacky on my computer, which we all know happens. So that's where you're going to give your student that initial level that you're going to see on that RAZ Plus roster. So I'm just going to pop into that roster again. So my students all have levels. And then I can select a student, or I can select all of my students, and I can turn that level up room off. If I don't want students working in level up, I can turn it off. And I can turn the reading room on or off. So I like to leave the reading room on because it really allows my students some just some practice time, and like it is like a trip to the library. So they're encouraged to read books that they feel like reading and topics that they feel like exploring. So I can have my whole class selected. I'm just going to select one student right now. The other thing we can do is customize that room. So when I click on customize, so let me just go back. I selected a student. I clicked on that pencil next to where it says reading room, and then I clicked on customize. Here is where I can have them have leveled books, and I can decide they're going to have books 1 level below their level and 2 levels above, or I can lock that library area into 1 level if I really want them practicing. So I can do it either way, doesn't matter. And here I can sort for any books that I want my students to have. I'm just going to click on and off whatever I don't think they need to have. And here, so my kindergartners don't really need classics right now. Maybe I'm going to take off most of these because they're higher level. These are the lower level ones: numbers, my body, and colors. And then I turn off the packs and passages. When you see a slider like this, it means grade level. So that's the grade level that they're going to get material at. And then again, I can turn on or off anything that I don't need them to have. The Ignite books are our high interest, low readability books for 3rd grade and up. So if I'm a 1st or 2nd grade teacher or kindergarten, I'm probably going to turn that off. And then I'll leave on the popular books, and those will come to the student at whatever grade level they are in. I save and close, and now that area is customized for my student. So I see there's a question. If I have a student who is at level 15, so that is not a question I can answer right now because I don't know the correlation between Rigby and the PM readers. You can look at that correlation chart though. Remember that is in that instructional area, and click on the PM reader, and then we can take a look at that. So we can take a look at that when I go back into that area. So here I'm done with my RAZ Plus area. So I'm going to go back to the general area. And if I was in my RAZ Plus area, I'm going to go to the manage student, which is right about here on that. And that's how I got into this area. So then I popped in, it's automatically going to pop me into this general tab. And these are the things I can do on my general tab now. So I can put in, here are all of my students. And I can decide I need some students grouped together. I'm going to give them some of the same assignments. So I want to group them together. So I just click on whatever students that I want to add to a group or group together. And here you can see my groups. So I've created some groups, but I'm going to, let's say, just put these several students into one group together. So once I highlight those students, I'm going to click on the group pencil. And here are the groups that I've already created, but I can create a new group as well. So maybe this is my guided group B. So I'm just going to call them my guided B group. And when I add that name here, it pops in. They can be in multiple groups. I am the only person that sees these group names. It's really just a way for me to assign more efficiently and look at reports by groups if I want. I can also look individually, and I can look my whole class. So that's the great thing about grouping, is it just makes everything a little more efficient. So I can deselect, maybe I know I have a couple of students that I know that when I give this group, they're not going to be able to read a lot of the text that I'm working in. So I know when I assign things to them, I'm going to give them listen only. So again, I can cluster them and I can make this my listening group. So now when I make assignments, all I have to do is click on that group of kids and they're going to get things to listen to. If I want to send a message to this group or an individual, you can see when I hover on an individual, I have this messaging icon. This is just going to go to Hamish. I can record a message, type a message, and give bonus stars, and then send that message, and the computer is going to have all of my messages saved. So I'm seeing that someone is saying they don't have group. So you don't have any, it should say groups. If you haven't created any groups, there won't be any groups. So you should have this icon up here that says groups. And then once you highlight any particular student, you can see that becomes activated. Does that make sense?
Can you by chance show us how to get to that page? I cannot get to that page. I can get to a different page, but I can't get to the student management.
So when you go to, can you get to this page, RAZ Plus?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and when you go to manage students, see how that pops open?
Yeah. Right,
and
I have that.
Roster. And that's what pops me into that.
Okay.
Did that work?
I'll check right now. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I want you to be able to make sure that you can get in.
Yeah, but I don't have, you have the general RAZ Plus up at the top, like that thing. Am I supposed to have that? Because we don't have that.
You don't have, it doesn't say.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, I wasn't up high enough. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you.
No, don't be sorry. No question is a bad question. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Got that.
No problem. So now when I've created my groups, these groups, I can get rid of these groups just by having no students selected. I can go here to viewing to all students, and I can go to any group, and you can see there's a little trash can next to that group. I could just delete that group. I'm only deleting a group name. I'm not deleting any students. So don't be too surprised with that. But groups change. I can also take kids in and out of a group. So if I need Corey to be not in my guided B group, but I'm going to put him in my intervention group, I can just make that change right there. And now he's in different groups. Doesn't affect Corey at all. He doesn't even know anything happened. So So let's take a moment. So that was a lot. I just showed you a lot of different things. So let's take a moment. And if you have not rostered your students yet, you might try to add a student. And then I'll be here to support. If you are on the roster area and you have not created groups, you might create a couple of groups, so group some of your students together. And remember, they can be in multiple groups. And if you want to try sending a message by selecting your students or selecting one student, you have 36 spots on your roster. So if you do not have 36 students in your class, I highly recommend you add yourself as a student, and then you can assign things to yourself. You can model things from the student view for your students. And it's just like adding a student. So you can go ahead and do that as well. And then you can assign things to yourself and you're not affecting any of your students' accounts. So here you can see I have myself. I'm all demo students. So for me, it doesn't matter, but I did add myself as a student. All right, so try something out. And then let me know how it goes or ask questions as you go. And then we're going to, I'm going to jump in as a student, and then we're going to look at our resources. Oh, good, great comment, Mari. Thank you. Right, and ask any questions as we go. There's something that you need or something you weren't sure about, and let me know in the chat or just unmute. What did you try? What did you come up with?
Okay, I have another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where do we go?
Sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry about that. Where do we go to do the reading rooms? Like if we want to close the reading room off or open the reading room, where was that again?
That was here under RAZ Plus. So next to the general tab, the RAZ Plus tab, and then here's the reading room and here's the level up room.
Got it.
And if you want to close it for all of your students, go ahead and select all of your students. That activates these tools. And then you can just turn it on or off or customize. Same with the level up.
With the level up assignment for the mandatory listening, if I put it to just mandate the lower levels, will the kids above that level, will the listening icon go away? Or will they still have the option? They just won't have to do it.
It will go away. They won't even have the option.
Okay.
Yeah, so however, wherever you set that, anyone above that bar, they won't even have the option to listen. Below that, they will have the option to listen. They do have to read the book in order to do the quiz, and then they can come back and listen. Some students just, you know, especially when the books get longer, they don't want to listen to all of that reading. So.
Can you show me again how to create and edit groups? I created a group and I can't edit the name of the group for whatever reason. It won't let me delete it.
Okay, so here in the general tab, you have to make sure your students are deselected. So you want the light blue, and now it activates this all student in the viewing area. And I'm going to click on that. And now when I scroll down to my groups, I just can hover over any group that I want to delete that name.
Okay.
If I just want to take a student out of a group, I'm just going to highlight that student, go here to my group pencil, and I can just deselect and select whatever groups I want Hamish to be in,
Okay.
or a bunch of kids. Great question. All right, how are we doing? Can we move on? Can I pop in as a student so you can see that side? Are you feeling like you got a little bit of... So I'm just going to log out as myself. And I'm going to go, so I've already been in many times. And so this is what it looks like if you've already been doing this. But if this is the first time your students are going to do this, they are going to go to this login here, my URL, kidsa2z.com, a-z.com. That's all they have to do. And this will pop in, but they just need kidsa-z.com. Then they're going to put in your teacher name. So after the first time they do it, you're going to start to see it here, and they can just click on that, or it's always going to just pop into you. And then here they're going to see themselves on the roster. So Aaron is going to see he's got a tab like this, or Jessie has this. So she can go in, so I can go in as any student. Here, if I go in as Aaron, and Aaron has a password. And here's that reading. You won't see any of these other planets because you don't have these products. So no worries about that. And I believe the recording will be sent to everybody after the session. So you don't have to worry about the recording. But here you can see, here's their little dashboard. Can you see this little pulsing messages? And if I click on my messages, so I as a teacher left my students a message, I can leave a written message or a recorded message.
Boys and girls, please don't forget to check your assignments today and send me practice recordings.
So that was another teacher who shares that student with me. And you can see they're going to get 150 stars once they've opened that. And it's going to save any messages that they've had. All right, so then they go back to their home. And here in reading, they're going to go into that reading planet. And this student, I had assigned an assessment. So they can go right to this assessment, or they can go back to their reading area. I'm just going to show you that quick. So here's where that assessment is going to sit. And if the student takes the assessment right away, or anytime they take it, first it's going to say, do you have enough time? As soon as they say yes, it is going to start recording them reading.
It will take up to 15 minutes to complete all 3 steps of this assignment.
So as soon as I say yes, up here in the corner, it's recording. And I'm going to read this piece. And here on the bottom, I can
retell in your own words what you just read. Tell as much as you can remember. Click record to begin.
So then they're going to record. So an assessment, if you give a benchmark passage or a benchmark book, they're going to do 3 things. They're going to record themselves reading the passage or book. Then they're going to record themselves retelling what they thought, what they remember from the story. So then they would hit record and record that. And then when they are done, they just can hit done, and they're going to take a quiz, except at AA. So once they go into the quiz, and level G and below, the quiz questions can be read to them. So I'm just clicking through because I didn't read it. And once I'm done, I didn't do very well, obviously, but I don't get to try again because this is an assessment, so I'm done. So now you see that flight check rocket went away. They don't have it anymore. They're not going to take another assessment until you assign something. And then here's my reading room. So we customized our reading room Students can pop in, they can go to any topic. Here we said they could have leveled books below and above. This isn't the student I customized. They can have Spanish materials. And here, if they click on that arrow, they can see other materials. So they can go to their poems and songs, but they have lots and lots. They're never going to run out of materials to read unless they're reading every second of every day. So that is the reading room. You can turn it on or off. The level up area is here. So the student was populated with this level. Here are all the books. You can see they're going to listen, read, and take a quiz. Doesn't matter what order. So this student looks like they haven't done anything, but they actually just popped into level L. And so that's why this bar is going to fill up eventually. And when students open a book, they're going to see the same thing here as they do in the reading room and your assignments. So I'm going to go in through assignments and show you there. This is where you are giving. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm missing questions, I think. Oh, you got it. Okay. So here, this student, it's a demo student. They have a lot of assignments, but your students are probably going to see this one box that says single assignments. And when they open that, they're going to see whatever books you've given. As soon as they finish everything for the book, so this is a listen and a read, that resource will disappear for them and it's in your reports and they won't see it. So because it's a demo, this is kind of cluttered, but your students, it won't look as cluttered. So when a student goes in, they click on the book. Here they have the listen and read icon. And they can, if they have a quiz to take, it's going to look like this. And there's that quiz. They can't take the quiz until they've done the reading. They can read or listen first. It's up to them. And here, when I pop open that reading, and no matter where I am on the site, I'm going to have these tools. I can record myself reading by pushing that button. Here you can see it's recording. And I can stop that recording and listen to it, reset it, and start over. The recordings have to be 30 seconds or longer to go into your reports for you to hear it, except on an assessment. Okay. You do have to assign an assessment, and I'll show you where that is in the resource area. So you will have to assign that, but it will automatically go through the steps with them. And you can specify reading prior to, they have to read before they take the quiz. The quiz isn't even available. So here are those tools that they can pop open. So they can highlight or draw whatever you have modeled and asked them to do. And they have these stamping tools so that maybe they're going to the next page and highlighting anything that they've done. So they can do that throughout the story. Any of the leveled books that they are in, I'm just going to go here. You can see as I hover over the text, it turns blue. They can click on the text and a box pops open and they can hear the word, they can highlight the word, and they can add it to their word journal. I would say with your youngest students, you're probably not using the word journal and reflection journal as much, but maybe your second and third graders, you might be.
Northeast.
So they can hear that word, any word.
Morning.
And they can pop out their little sticky note and type some things as they go. So this is obviously a higher level text that was assigned here. And then here is the word and reflection journal. And if they wrote a reflection, it's going to be in here. They can add a reflection. It's going to write about this book. And they can do a summary. They can do main idea and details, whatever you have modeled for them to do. So that's why it's great if you can go in as a student, but you'll be able to see this on the teacher side as well. So I see there's a question about When you went in for the first time, that a screener popped up. That's because you have to set a level when you add a student. Don't set the tool, the placement tool. That means they'll have to do, it's not an assessment, it's just a sort of a guess of what level they're at based on what they do on that little screener. So if you know a level, I would just bypass that and set a level, because that makes it a lot easier. All right, so we'll go back as soon as I'm done in the student area. We will end up back in the report area. And if you have intermediate students, I just want to show you real quick. It's going to look a little bit different when they pop in, but they still have all of those same, and when I pop into these areas, it's going to look exactly the same as it did for the primary, except the resources assigned will be different. So I just wanted you to be able to see that. Oops. There. All right, so now I'm going to go back into my teacher area. And this is going to take me into that reports area. And if I have, if students have done annotating, I'm going to go into my reports. And I'm going to go right over here to assignments. And then here I have all these great filters. So I can filter for the actual book, or here is where I can filter for a group of students. So I can go for my press club students, and now I'm only going to see them. And as I scroll through, whenever I see student annotations, I can pop that open and look at those annotations. So again, I was in my reports and I went to assignments and I did some filtering. I could filter for the just today or several days ago, whatever I want. And then I'm looking for that text that says view student annotations, and it's a hyperlink. Any questions on any of that? Oh, I see. What do you do with a parent request? So if a parent has gone in on their student's account, on their child's account, and requested access, what that's giving them is a dashboard so they can see what their child is working on. And it doesn't allow them to assign anything or anything like that. Oops, let me get out of my group. It just allows them to see what their child is doing. So here, this is what's going to happen. You're going to see this. You're going to click on that pencil. So that takes me to my students, all this information on my student, right to parent access. And Mr. Desitel wants access. I can approve it or deny it. And once I approve it and save it, parents are going to get an email telling them what to do next to set up their account. So you're just saying yes or no, like that.
I have a question about something that's kind of unique that I found recently. When I assign books to students prior to when we read together as a group, I ask my students to go in and listen to the book first in their assignments. And then I've noticed that after they listen to the book disappears from their assignments, and then they have to go back in and try to search and find the book again during our reading group time.
Are you assigning it with a listen only feature?
No, I just go into assignments and I assign it based on their level, and I assign it to a specific group. Right. And then I ask them to just go in and I want you to only listen to the book first, and then we're going to read the book together in our reading group. When they do that, the book disappears from their assignments.
Oh, I have not heard of that happening. I'm not sure
why. It's the craziest thing. I've been struggling because then we have to spend all this time trying to, I have to go back in and reassign it again, which takes up a lot of time. And then it takes probably about 10 minutes before the assigned book gets back into their assignment folder. So now I'm like, should I tell my students not to listen to the book first since it disappears?
Yeah, let me just think through that for a few minutes. I'm not really,
Okay.
that's the first time I've heard of that happening.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's frustrating too. So, yeah, so there's a couple questions about it. You can always go in before I go out of this area. You can always go to your RAZ Plus area, and even if it says placement tool, you can go in here and change the level. So you always have control of the levels that your students are at. The placement tool is a one-time thing. So it's only for students that have never used A to Z and they're brand new to the program, and you assign the placement tool, or you didn't do anything. And so they ended up with the placement tool. So if you don't want them to have to do that, go in here and just put in a level, because you always have control of that. So I'm going to pop back into my RAZ Plus area because I'm looking at our time and we're kind of running out of time. So I want to make sure that you see some of the resources. So again, you can search for specific resources, and you can go into this area, this file cabinet of resources. Here under level text, you have anything that you see anywhere on the program that has this planet icon. It means it's digitally assignable to students. So all of these things are digitally assignable. All of the content area resources. So you can see we have social stories in here, all kinds of, we have additional text. So I want to just pop into level books for a moment, and then I want to show you a little something else. So here in my level books, if I hover over any of these letters, it's going to give me that correlation chart. So I can choose a level. I can filter for any of these things. So if I know I want nonfiction or I want fiction, whatever it is I want, and then I just scroll down, choose whatever I want. And when I hover, I can assign right from here, or I can click on the resource, go to the landing page. All the landing pages look the same for the leveled books, no matter what level. Little thumbnail. Here's that assignment feature where you can assign just them listening, just reading, take a quiz, include a constructed response. And here I can assign. So here, remember I had my listening group. So I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to choose my listening group. And now those students only are going to have a listen only. And then I can come back in, and all of my other kiddos are going to have the rest of this, or I can turn off the listening feature. And this group is going to get the assignment that way. So I can assign multiple times in multiple ways, add it all to my file cabinet if I want. Here's that projectable. So all of my resources on the site have a projectable, not just leveled books. So here I can scroll through the book. Here's my toolkit, and it looks just like the students. I have pens, I have highlighters. Here's my text feature. I can choose my color ink, click on the box, and then I can move that box anywhere I want, and I can resize it and type in there. So once I have any annotating done here, I can use my stamper. I like to use the arrow, especially virtually, because your eye is going to go wherever my arrow is. So here that helps me. I have a framing tool, so I can see, we can look just at the picture first. So here I can make that bigger, and I can do this ahead of time. And when I come back in, if I don't reset, so when I first come back in, you can see I lost my framing tool. All I have to do is click on that, and it is what I set it. If I quit out of here on the reading A to Z right above my control panel, or the black X in the right corner, all of those annotations will be there when I open this particular text again. So I can project my book, I've got my lesson plans. I highly recommend taking a look at those. And here, my discussion to get higher level thinking. I can project and annotate on these questions. They're going to tell me this is an evaluate question, making inferences, etc. So I can work on that. So those are the resources I have in my level book. In my level H and below also have a wordless book. So it's not assignable to students, but it is projectable. So you could do a picture walk and not worry about the text. Or you could have read the book, come back and have the students retell, choose a color, click on that box, resize it and put it right in there, and you can start typing the story. And if I remember, if I just quit out of there, that's going to be here the next time I come in. So that's a lot of what you have. You also can preview. And then before you assign, you want to preview, you can take a look at what that quiz is going to look like. This is a level G and below.
What is the main idea of this book?
So it's going to read to them. I can do this so you, just like you're looking at my screen, your students can look at your screen. You can't show the recording feature, but you can show all of the tools, the text box, and your word or reflection journal. So you could model what you want your older students to do here right on your platform. So the other resource I want to show you, a couple other drawers. Here's the assessments, anything with these planets, digitally assignable. And foundational skills, the lessons in decodable text go up through 4th grade. And then you have other resources that support those skills. So you can see any of that here. When you're back in school, you've got some nice learning centers. They don't work so well virtually, but they're great when you're in class. And then here in the focused instruction drawer, you have graphic organizers that they're not assignable, but you can use them as projectables. You have all of these other features. And I want to go back into, so you can utilize any of those. You have some writing, vocabulary, and word work, but in the level text area, I'm going to go right here to my shared reading because I love this feature. Here and for virtual, this is great. You can sort for your level. It's kind of a grade band level. And then you can scroll. You can see there are a lot of activities. And when I pop into one, it looks familiar, this landing page. But here, instead of just being able to project the book, I can project with prompts. I have a 5-day shared reading lesson plan. And here I can open that. There's my annotation. And I get these nice prompt characters that are telling me to do certain things with the text. And I can generate answers from my students and type them in by creating those text boxes. So I love the shared reading and I can stop anytime. This is as far as we got in a couple days and just quit out of there. Don't reset it. And I can just keep coming back to it. So those are just a couple of areas and resource types that really should help you, and that projectable tool. So what are some questions that you have? I wish we had more time. I wanted you to explore a little more. But what are some things? Pop in and what are you thinking?
I have a question regarding the high frequency books that you have. And can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. And my question is, I've gone in and for a couple of my low ones, I'm assuming because I'm looking at the titles and the composition of the books, that level A, B, and C, C being the highest. Now, and then it just says to assign, but it doesn't designate to whom I assign to. So I've clicked on set C
Okay.
and I'm stuck at that point. So I'm
So when you click on the set and then you
correct.
choose your book,
Correct.
and then you can assign it right from here. You don't have to go to the landing page.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, never
Have to
mind.
click
I
assign.
see.
No,
Thank
no,
you
no,
so much.
no worries whatsoever. No,
I
I'm
got it.
glad you asked. And then
Awesome.
you can do the listen and read.
Right. And they don't put a level on the high frequency word books, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
There
that's what I thought.
these are the words they're going to do. So when you hover over one of the
Right.
books, it's going to show you what words they need.
And C is the highest level that you guys go to?
Right now it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a set. So this is the highest.
Right.
set.
I was looking through and we go up to the 320 and some of them, yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And if you wanted to give a high frequency word assessment, you
Yeah,
could
we
do that
all the
right
time.
here. And then students would record themselves reading the words in the assessment. So you have multiple sets that you can choose from.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
you can project it and see what is actually in that set. But when you go to assign it, you can just assign it to whatever students you want. And then that's going to be the first thing they see when they pop into their site.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
How do we get them, or how do we allow them to read the books more than the one read and the one listen? I teach littles, and of course they need multiple reads on every book.
Right. You mean because it goes away?
Right.
You can assign the book more than once and it will pop into their site multiple times. So that would someone else's question about the books disappearing. Maybe for now you assign it twice to them. So like I have other teachers that are assigning and the student will have the same book multiple times in their assignment area.
Put in the level up tab.
Sorry?
Is there a way to do it in the level up tab?
Not in level up, you'd have to reassign the level, but you could do it in your assignments, my assignments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the level up area, that's just going to give them one of each book. And they're going to, if they finish a book, there's a little heart that comes in at the top and they can click on that heart and then that book will go into their reading room. So that would be the only way that they'd be able to see
and then
that.
they can access. Okay.
Yep, then they could access it in their reading room.
Okay.
Yeah.
The little ones that I'm working one-on-one with, I just click into the reading room as them and share my screen. And then we usually do a picture walk first, and then you can access the book as many times as you want if you do it that way.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Right. And you can even go through the resources. So when when you click on any book, you're going to have that preview. So you could pull the preview up on yours and you could picture walk right here on the preview. So you can do that here and you can use those tools right here. So I should have picked a lower level, but I do see we are at the end of our time. So I do want to respect everybody's time so that you are able to meet your needs. I did put an after event survey into the chat area. So if you have time to do that, I would really appreciate it. But I know that we are all very busy. So, and there are final questions. I'm happy to answer them, but I do want to respect everybody's time.
Thank you, Anne, for being here. And I'll also share the recording. I'll send it out after we're finished here and can send a link to the survey as well.
All right. Awesome. So I'm not sure. So when someone is saying, a couple of people have said the RAZ app in Clever does not work for them. That may be something the way the Clever is set up. You can always go to raz-plus.com and get to your teacher site right here. And you should still be able to see your roster area because you're logging in as that teacher.
Mhm.
So hopefully that helps.
I had to create my own.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And again, if there's any more questions, go ahead and ask. But otherwise, you can't break it. So keep working. And I would say on that question about your resources disappearing, you might want to contact customer support right here. If you go to Learning A to Z, right next to your RAZ Plus tab,
Yeah.
you can always, and I'll send you that number as well in my follow-up email. But here you can always do, it says contact us up here, and I would call customer support and say, why is this happening?
Yeah, that's really, it's interesting. Well, I think it's kind of what Mari said, where you assign a book to a student and then, you know, after they have listened to it, read it, took the quiz, now it's gone. I mean, they can still go back and search it again, but
Right.
with
They should be able to just listen to it.
Right. Yeah.
And then, so I wonder if the kids are clicking through the reading part and the other stuff.
No, because I can see, because I log in as them and I get to see what they're seeing, and I can see that there's a green check mark that they listened to it, which is great. But then they haven't read the book and they haven't taken the quiz, and the book has left their assignments thing. So I might have to do what you recommended, where I assign it twice. I assign it as just a listening book first, and then I assign the book and the quiz for our reading group time together. So I might have to do that.
Yeah. Otherwise, try calling support here.
Okay.
And see what they say, because that's the first I've heard of that. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I just figured that out this last week, and I'm like, what is going on? All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Nell, and everyone.
Thanks for being here, everyone.
All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope it's sunny out there.
Thank you.
All right. All right. And now I'll send you some things in a follow-up that people that might be helpful. I'm sorry we didn't have as much time at the end. But people have really good questions. So,
and as they get into it, they may have more just logistical stuff. Are you good if I send you some questions if they have them? And
yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah. Awesome. All right, everyone.